After Madara had forged and crafted his plan in such great detail, it unfortunately came to nothing. Too bad actually. After all, he left nothing by chance and everything went exactly as planned. Well, not really. And the plan wasn't that good either. But at least it's an epic character and he had one of the most epic entrances ever. And I can already feel the hate wave pissing on my leg. But let me explain. And by the way, I'm talking about Madara and not Obito, who pretended to be Madara. He is supposed to be just like Aizen from Bleach, so that he had everything planned out from the beginning. However, Madara was written by a mangaka who didn't really understand Aizen or what made him so special. Just as I said before, Madara is an absolute epic character, but his planning is extremely loosey. They try to make it look like Madara is the mastermind behind everything that happens in Naruto, just like Aizen did in Bleach. Every little detail, no matter how meticulous, everything was Madara. To make this work, they twisted it so that Madara was responsible for Obito becoming evil. And how he managed to make Obito evil can really only be described as a complete pawn move. Okay, big words. But what was the pawn move and what sucked? Basically, his whole plan was pretty crappy. But let's approach step by step. The pawn move consists of an incredible number of plot holes and absolutely illogical writing. But let's get to the biggest thing that was completely ignored and screwed up. We are talking about Madara's plan to kill Rin in front of Obito. This looks like just a little what the fuck scene, but the more you think about it, the crazier and more confusing it gets. There are just so many possible variables that would throw Madara's plan completely overboard. The very first thing we come to is, how the fuck Madara did this? He really must have gotten all the information he had from Zetsu, because Madara was living in a shithole a few meters under the ground. Well, he lived, more or less. Yeah, rather less. Rin and Kakashi were, for whatever reason, near Kirigakure. Without the sensei, that must be good. And of course they wondered why there were so many shinobi from Kirigakure all of a sudden who all wanted them dead. Well, not completely. So partly yes, at least Kakashi's death. However, now they somehow managed, don't ask how, but somehow they managed to seal the three-tailed inside Rin. So why were just the two of them there? If they had kidnapped Rin from Konoha, Minato wouldn't just send Kakashi to a certain death. It's absolutely unknown why there's such a big ass pull and why they were near Kirigakure in the first place. What if Madara underestimated Kakashi and Rin didn't have such suicidal thoughts and didn't just jump in? What if they had managed to defend themselves? Rin and Kakashi would have done that for which they were there and then run away again. What would Madara do then? How the fuck did they even get Rin? How could they trick Konoha, kidnap Rin and still only have Kakashi on their asses? And like I said, only Kakashi! And also yeah, I know they wanted Rin as a vessel for the three-tailed, but why the hell Rin? Why do they make it so complicated? I understand that they wanted to have the three-tailed in Rin, so that they could let the Biju out in Konoha, so that he would destroy everything there. But why Rin of all people? They could do the exact same thing with some other. Almost completely irrelevant. Some other guy who would probably do it voluntarily and go to Konoha as a spy and release the Biju there. And now, don't give me any of that Madara used his Sharingan to control the enemy shinobi stuff. Sure, so a few meters underground, it's always so doable. And even if he had the opportunity to have so many shinobi in front of him, this at this time completely outdated and wizened, the more dead than alive Madara couldn't hold so many people in his genjutsu. Not only that his chakra goes towards death, but he couldn't defend himself like that at all. I'm just saying, if that was the mission, they wouldn't be just two and have another sensei and at least another partner. And probably Minato as sensei. Another thing is, how did Madara know that Minato didn't come to the aid of the two? Well, of course you can say that he sends his Zetsus there and spied on him. However, the Zetsus are with Obito the whole time. But what is even more important than an Obito replacement is Minato himself. He has placed the seal on his students so that he could always come to their aid if they were in danger. If he were to come, which should make sense, they would definitely survive, the enemy shinobi would have died, and Minato would have helped Rin subdue the three-tailed. That's one thing that normally should actually be taken into consideration. After all, he apparently knows Minato, otherwise he wouldn't know about Kakashi and Rin. He knows Tobirama and his jutsu, so he knows exactly how the jutsu works and should actually consider it, but that wasn't apparent at all. The good thing about it is that it hasn't even been about Obito himself yet. Actually, the biggest problem is Obito's timing. He had to arrive exactly at that moment when Rin wanted to look at the sparkle of Kakashi Shidori from a little closer. Let's just say he's too early. Rin isn't dead and the two just barely escape. Obito joins them and helps rescue Rin. Together they make it to Konoha. All good. And with the Sharingan, he could suppress the three-tailed. After all, he could do it with Kurama. Obito becomes the 5th Hokage, Naruto and Sasuke have a nice childhood, and Obito leads some super badass Konoha shinobi to Madara's shithole, where he then probably dies. And therefore could throw the super cool Mugen Tsukuyomi plan into the trash. But if Obito would have been too late and Rin would have died, just like it happened, only with the difference that Obito just couldn't see that, because too late and all, then he would just blame the Kirigakure shinobi, not really be so traumatized at all, and his priority to save Kakashi would be in the highest order for now. He would bring Kakashi back to Konoha and make his comeback as a hero. And again, Madara, or the Black Zetsu, would just sit empty-handed in the shithole. The basic requirement so far is of course that Obito comes out of his hideout. What happens if he doesn't come out of there? What if he's so injured that he can still barely move on the big day of the plan? What if he couldn't get out of the shithole on that day at the exact moment? Of course, I know that's what the body of the Spiral Zetsu was for, but come on, seriously. The fact that he could then also perform so much was just way too extreme. But there's even another scenario where everything would come to ruin. We already have so much which would completely destroy Madara's plan. So what is still missing now? Oh yeah, the possibility of Obito dying in battle against the shinobi from Kirigakure. He only won because for some unexplained reason he managed to control his Mangekyo Sharingan. He probably didn't even really know what the Mangekyo Sharingan even was. Let alone, it's completely insane that he could use it instantaneously. Even Sasuke had under full consciousness, a later age, more knowledge and so on and so on. Difficulty controlling the Mangekyo Sharingan. So where did he get the knowledge of Kamui to be able to impale himself from behind so mindlessly? What if he didn't have that kind of control, which would actually be extremely logical, and share the fate with Rin there? Or if he had the ability of the Amaterasu like Sasuke or Itachi and couldn't use Kamui at all, the plan would be ruined again. With these scenes I always think about myself, holy shit! But not because the plan was so good and so good structured, but because this plan should never come true. There are just infinite things that just spoke against it. In the end, it wasn't a super genius master plan just like with Aizen, who planned everything completely through, but it was just extreme luck. I hope you can understand now why I don't like Madara's plan at all. But what do you think about it? Just write it down in the comments. But that's it again from me. We'll see us next time, so take care, my friends.